Hello friends, welcome to the 10th session of Hybris tutorial. In this session, we will learn what is the difference between system initialization and system update. And then we will learn what is the meaning of update running system, create essential data and localize types. So we will be learning all these concepts in this session. So firstly, let me clear the difference between initialization and update. So if I say initialization, it can be done in two ways. The first way we have already done during the setup B2C accelerator. If you have not seen that video, you can check that video. The video link is given in the description box as well as in the top right section in the card section. So you can watch that video. In that video we had done the anti-initialization through the command line. What we had done, we went to the Hybris setup. So this is like our Hybris setup, and over here we went to Hybris folder and then bin folder, and over here we went to platform folder. Here we opened the cmd command line, and when we open the command line, firstly we did set ant environment to set the ant environment, and then we fired the command and initialize, right? So this is what we did during the B2C accelerator setup. So this is the one way to do ant initialize. The second way to do ant initialize is we can do the same thing through Hybris admin console as well. We need to go into the platform tab and then we need to go to the initialization tab. When I go to the initialization tab, and if I just log in into the HSC, I'm just logging with my credentials, you will see here also we get the option to initialize our system. So there are the two ways to initialize our system. Similarly, there are the two ways to do the update system. So the first way is through HSC. If I just go to platform and then go to update tab and click over here, so this is the first way to do update system. How I can do, there are multiple options like update running system, create essential data and localize types, which has different meanings and different functionalities, which we will be discussing in this video only. But for now you can understand this is the one way to update the system. The second way is, of course, you can do this through the command line as well, and the command to perform the system update through command line is, so this is the command and update system -d tenant. If you have a tenant in your system or in your project, then you can give the tenant name, otherwise you can remove this section or this property. And then this we have d type system update only is equal to true. It also has a meaning. So if I just give you the overview of this d type system only, if I am keeping its value as true, it means it will only be performing the update running system. It will not be performing the functions of create essential data, localize type and this project data. So if we are keeping the value of d type system only is equal to true, it means only the update running system function will be performed. But if we are not keeping this value over here, then it means all the functions performed by all these fields, update running system, create essential data and localize type, will be performed automatically by default. So I hope now you understand how we can perform the system initialize and how we can perform the system update. There are two ways to perform each function. Now the question is, what is the difference between the system initialize and system update? So when we did the system initialize, what actually the system does, so the system basically does, so in our database we have this, right? We have schemas in our database, we have tables, we have columns, sample data, custom data, we have all this type of data in our database, Hybris database, right? When I do ant initialization, what it does, firstly, it removes everything. It removes schema, tables, columns, sample data, custom data, which means it literally empties the database, and then it recreates the schema, tables, and columns, everything it recreates from the very beginning. And when it recreates everything from very beginning, there will be no data in any table, only the by default data which is provided by Hybris in its suite, like some impexes are there in shoot. So when we do the ant initialize, those impexes run automatically, that data will be saved, but all the custom data will get removed when you do the ant initialization of the system, right? So this is what system behaves when you do ant initialization. So it means everything will be removed firstly, and then schema, tables, columns, everything will be created from the scratch, right? So this is ant initialization, but when we performed ant update, the system behaves in a different way. When we perform the ant update, at that time, these schema, tables, columns, sample data, and custom data, this will be retained. But whatever the changes we do in our, say, in item.xml, if we say add an attribute in existing item type, only those changes will be updated into the database, right? So if we have added a new table, then a new table will be created during the system update. If we have added an attribute in existing table, that new attribute will be added into the that table name, that table in the database. So only the update operations will be performed during the system update. It is not like the initialization where everything will firstly gets deleted. So already all existing things will be retained, and only the changes, ad hoc changes, which we have done in our item.xml, like if I just give you one example. Right, like this is my training core item.xml, and over here, like this is one of my item type apple size variant product, and here like we have only one attribute over here. If I add another attribute and if I perform the system update, only this attribute, the newly added attribute, will be updated to the database, corresponding table in the database. So this is basically the difference between the ant initialization and the system update. But if you see the system update, here also we do have multiple options. We have option of update running system, create essential data, and localize type. So firstly, we will understand the difference between update running system and create essential data. So when we run the update running system, during the running of update running system, there will be no impacts import. So when I check the update running system and click on the update button, and I check and I uncheck other options and if I click on the update button, so whatever the recently modified type related to the data will be updated. It means the system update rebuilds all type definitions from item.xml file. So it means whatever, if I have added a one attribute in my item.xml, or if I have added a new item type, so that new item type will get created, or new attribute will get created, but it doesn't mean there will be any impacts loading during the, like we do have multiple impacts, right? We have already discussed the impacts in our previous videos. So we do have multiple impacts. So none of these impacts will be running during the system update. So this is the difference between the update running system and create essential data. But in the create essential data, the essential part of the project, the essential content of our application will be loaded. There are some files which are essential files and some files which are related to the project data. So basically we do have two type of data: essential data and project data. So when I take the create essential data option, the essential data will be penetrated into the DB. So what is essential data? So if I just show you in our project, you can see essential data can be identified in two ways. So the first way is we do have multiple files with the name essential, right? So you can see these all are the impex files, and its name starts with the essential data.impex. And you can see this these files or these impex files are present in each extension in the resources folder, right? So when we do the create essential data, or it means when we select this create essential data, these all impacts will be loaded, and the corresponding data in these impacts will be updated into the database. Like if I just open one essential data dot impacts here, what it is doing, it is updating the language. So these type of things like language currency, these are essential part of any project, which means these are the core blocks of any project to start. Like we should have a language, we should have a currency defined, right? So all these things are very necessary to start an application. Like we should have warehouse defined. So all these things are loaded when we run the create essential data. So I hope now you have a blur idea what is essential data, and when we take the essential data option, which files start loading or start running, and their corresponding data also start inserting into the database. So this is one type of essential data which can be identified. The second type of essential data we can find in the core system setup. So if I just search with an option, say system setup .java, you can see here we have multiple system setup.java files in each extension. You can see it is present in each extension, right? So, and these all files are present inside the src folder of each extension, right? So in this file also we do have some mappings of essential data as well as the project data, right? If I just open one file, if I just go from the folder directory, like we have this project, and if I go inside Hybris bin and then custom, and if I say open any extension, say if I open this training core extension and go inside src folder and then go de Hybris training inside this package, and inside the core folder we do have one folder which name is setup. Over here we do have one file, core system setup, right? If I just open this file and if I just show you what type of data it has, you can see this has multiple APIs, create project data, and similarly we should have one create essential data as well. So you can see we do have create essential data. Let's look this file into Eclipse, and if I just show you, you can see the same file is over here, and you can see this is the create essential data. And if you have understood, this create core system setup.java file is present into each extension. If you just see any other extension as well, if I just show you, like this is the newly created extension which we created in our one of the session. If I go inside src folder, de Hybris training, and then setup folder, over here as well we do have a system setup file, right? It means this system setup file is present in each extension, and in this file we map some of the impacts files as essential file. So whatever the files which are present inside this API, all are the essential files. So it means when you select the essential data option, these files will be loaded automatically, which means these files will be executed automatically, right? So not only these files, but all the files present in create essential data in the courses in the system setup file of each extension, right? Because this file core system setup.java is not present only in this extension but in other extension as well. So in all extensions, in this file and in this API, whatever the impacts are written, those all will be executed when you run the create essential data, right? So now we can identify the essential data in two ways. Either there will be some files with the name essential data and then ending with impacts. So this is one type of data which will be executed, and secondly we do have multiple system setup files in the SRC folder of each extension. There also we mention the essential data files or essential data impacts which will be executed when we check the create essential data. Now there is one question, how these impacts will be loaded, which impacts will be executed first. This impacts will be executed first or this impacts will be executed first. So by default, firstly this impacts will be executed, then this impacts will be executed, and then this impacts will be executed. But we do have some files as well with the name of essential data, right? So we do have multiple files. So how these impacts files will be loaded when we select the essential data option? What is the order? So if I just show you this file into the directory structure, you will see we do have given some numbering 1, 2 and 3. So if we do numbering like this, then the firstly this file will be executed, or this impacts will be executed, then the impacts with the number 2 will be executed, and then the impacts 3 will be executed. But if there is no numbering mentioned, then system can pick any file on random basis and can execute it. So I hope now you understand which all type of impacts files will be executed when we run the or when we check the create essential data option, and what the create essential data option does when we select this option, right? So update running system will not be inserting any data or will not be running any impacts, but create essential data will be running the impacts which are of type essential type, right? Now the third option is localized type. So localized type, we know there are many types where the localization is present, or we had shown you one of the attribute in items localization is either true or false. For the items which have localization is equal to true, or the attributes which have localization is equal to true. Like we checked in the order model, there was in the product model there was an attribute with a name identifier, it had a localization. So those localization type of data or language type of data will be loaded when you select this localized type of option. So I hope now you understand the localization when you select the localization type. So I hope you understand this. So if I just check the localized type box and after click on the update button, the system localize the type system. It means corresponding localization data, that is language, will be updated into the database, right? So now we have understood running system, essential data and localization types, and what actually happens when we select these options, right? Now the third thing is project data settings. So here if you see there are multiple extension like promotion extension, there are multiple extension. Even we created one custom extension like training extension, training core, training fulfillment, cockpit. If I just show you, we had created one of the created extension during our B2C accelerator setup in session 2. So at that time during ant module gen command we had created these extensions, right? Training cockpit core. So all these extensions are present over here because we added these extensions in our extension info.xml file present in the config folder, right? That is why it is displaying over here. So these all extensions containing the project data. So it means there will be some files starting with the name project data. So if I just show you project data, so when you select these I mean if I select training core, say training core, right? So whatever the file project data dot impacts file present in the training folder, training core folder, like it, this file is present in this app product config add-on file, right? So it means all files are present in different extensions. So it means the project data impacts file present in the training core folder will be executed when we select this option, right? So how you identify the project data? Again, like create essential data, we have two ways to identify the project data. One way is the files will be or the impacts will be starting with the name project data.impacts, and the second way is the same way, like each with each extension there will be core system setup. Again here like we had create essential data API, similarly we have a create project data API, right? Like currently I am in training core folder, right? So over here we have mentioned these type of impacts like CMS cockpit user impacts. So this is project data, this is not essential data, not a building block or core blocks of any project, but these are the project data where we do some type of customization, like we do some customization in access rights, right? So these type of impacts will be automatically executed when you run the or select the training core folder. It means when I select the training core folder and if I just click on the update button which is present on the top, so it means all these files will be loaded or will be executed automatically. In what order? So the first file will be like this will be executed, then this will be executed. Why only these files will be executed? Because this file is present in training core. So if I am selecting training core option here, only the file or only the project data present in this core system setup in training core will be executed. No project data file present in any other core system setup of any other extension will not be executed until or unless we set that or we check that extension, right? So if I am checking these two extensions, it means the project data files present in this extension and in this extension will be executed. But if I am unchecking this, then it means the project data files present in this extension will not be executed. So I hope now you understand the concept of project data. So how this will be executed and what is the meaning of selecting this training core folder, how this behaves or what functionality is performed at backend when we select training core. It means when I select the training core in the backend, it will be running the impacts present in core system setup plus some impacts with the name project star impacts present in training core folder will get executed, right? So I hope now you understand this. So there is one more thing, you must be seeing this, like when I selecting training core, we do have this option import users and group, and over here we have value yes or no. from where this value is getting loaded. So this value is again mapped into the core system setup file of each extension. Here we do have one API get initialization options. Inside this you can see we have mapped this import user and group is the name, right, and this is the same name over here, and the value is yes or no. Where it is defined over here. If I just show you, it is defined over here. You can see the true and false value. So I hope now you understand everything related to the initialization, system update, and what is the meaning of selecting these options: the create essential data, update running system, localized type. If I check this, what actually system does in the backend. If I check this, what actually system does in backend. Like if I check this, the system will be running the or executing the essential files or the essential impacts mentioned in the core system setup API. Similarly, we have this project data, and if I select any extension, what system actually does in the backend, like all the files present in core system setup of this extension will be executed. So this is how system behaves. I hope now it is clear for you. You should have now known the difference between anti-initialize and update running system, and should have understand the meaning of all these things, right? So just to explain in very brief, when we need to do update running system, so if you are doing any changes in any item.xml, like this is your item.xml, and over here if you are adding any new item type, or if you are adding new attribute, at that time you need to do update running system. Like if you are creating a new item type, or if you are adding a new attribute in your existing item type, at that time you need to check the update running system option during the system update. And when you need to do or when you need to select the create essential data option, so you need to select the create essential data option when you are doing the changes in the impacts which fall in the create essential data API, or the impacts whose name start with the essential data, right? So at that time you need to check the create essential data option during the system update. Similarly, when you need to do the or check the training core folder, say in the project data or any extension folder, when you need to check that. So when you are doing changes in any of the project data impacts files, like these files, so at that time you need to check the corresponding extension name during the system update. So this is the difference, and this is when you need to check which option. I hope now it is clear to you when you need to check the update running system, and when you need to check the create essential data, and when you need to check any extension during system update. And just to clear one more thing, how the system picks up these system setup files, how system reach to this file when we do the system update, how system reach to this file and then identify the essential data files or the project data files. So how actually system identifies the system setup files. So all these files are basically extending one class, abstract system setup class. So these all system setup files are extending this class, this abstract system class. If I just show you any other class as well, abstract store system setup, like right, so you can see this is also extending the abstract system setup. So basically these system setup classes are nothing but these are also a simple beans, and their mappings are also there in the corresponding spring.xml present in the resource folder. If I just show you, you will see here also there will be some mapping of, as you can see, setup files, and here we have mentioned the parent class as abstract core system setup file. So when you run the system update, what system actually does internally, it reaches to all spring.xml files present in the project, and then it identifies those beans whose parent is abstract core system setup, and then goes inside those beans, and whatever the files mentioned in the create project data or create essential data in these files are there, it runs those files. Like in this is the file core system setup, it is extending abstract system setup, so by default it is overriding these create essential data API, get initialization option API, or create project data. So by default it will be running these files according to the option you have selected, whether you have selected the option of project data or you have selected the option of create essential data during the system update. So I hope now you understand how system identify the core system setup file present in each extension and run the corresponding essential data or project data files. This is all about the system initialization and system update. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, do share this video with your friends as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.